Kenny G. Oh gosh, I can see the controversy there, the way I live with it. Bird is on a different planet from Kenny G, let's get that straight. Welcome to today's vlog. It's great to be back in normal conditions, back in the new studio, as it were, the new filming room. And today I want to talk about 10 jazz albums that you should listen to before you die. Hopefully that's going to be a long time off for a lot of you. I got the inspiration from an article I found, I'd say, in one of my bookmarks online a while ago, and I thought, I wonder what my 10 would be. Now, they are quite saxophone-centric, unsurprisingly so, and you might disagree with them. You might actually, and I really think you should, have your own top 10. You know, there are probably a lot more in here that I really should have put in, and probably that if I went back and did it again tomorrow, I would give you 10 other albums. But I reckon these, at least 8 of these, would feature on most people's top 10 lists. If you're new here, please do hit a subscribe button. If you're not new here and you've been for a long time, you know the drill. Please click a like. It means that my videos can be seen by more people. And more people can comment, more people can share, more people can become part of our community. Don't forget to check out our All the Things You Are community project that we did. We're going to do another one next month. Any suggestions, please do let me know, and we will put it together, and we can do it all as a group. So these top 10 albums. These are just albums I've more or less chosen post-war albums, sort of more into bebop jazz, and I'm kind of thinking I'm actually going to slightly change it. If you're one of my Patreons, you will know that I put together a playlist last week for you with these on. I'm going to change one of the albums and make it all post-war. If you've not heard of Patreon before, can I please encourage you to go and take a look at it. Patreon is a great way of helping support artists, musicians, people like myself in these times. My Patreon page goes towards helping me fund to create my YouTube videos, but I also give you lots and lots of extras on Patreon. You can get saxophone lessons. I share a new playlist with you at least once a week, if not more. I'm trying to share more with you. I'll share insights, photos, little bits and bobs of stuff that I don't share on YouTube. Try and make it more value added, but ultimately at Patreon you are helping support my creativity. You're helping me to create these videos because, you know, YouTube doesn't pay the bills. Let's get back to the albums though. So at number 10, my album would be, and of course I can't really play you the original recordings, but number 10 would be Ornette Coleman's The Shape of Jazz to Come. I mentioned before how I teach this advanced jazz group. I was teaching them last night. We were actually going through this playlist, which actually gave me the inspiration to do the YouTube video today. And even now, 61 years later, after The Shape of Jazz to Come was released and recorded, it's still creating controversy, and still amongst these 16 to 18 year olds looking at their reactions when they first hear Lonely Woman or something. It's, you know, it's unbelievable that it's 60 years later and it's still eliciting this kind of response. So if you haven't heard The Shape of Jazz to Come yet, where have you been? Go and listen to it. I remember talking to a classical composer about, you know, and they were really, you know, modern contemporary classical composer, and they were just like talking about how wonderful it was and asking me more and more questions, answers that I didn't really have at the time. Go back, listen to The Shape of Jazz to Come, listen to Lonely Woman, Peace. There are 2 amazing tracks on that album, well worth listening to, so go ahead and do it. Number 9 in my top 10 albums would be Monk's Dream. I chose this album because it's actually got Charlie Roos on tenor, and we don't actually hear enough, and you certainly don't hear me mention him enough. The Monk's Dream album, you know, I think there are 5 takes of Monk's Dream, the title track on the album, on this sort of reissued CD. Well worth listening to, well worth delving into. Number 8 would be Herbie Hancock's Headhunters, mostly because it was tunes like Chameleon, Watermelon Man, that remix of I say remix, of course it wasn't a remix, was it? I mean, it was just Herbie Hancock giving a different version of it. But they were such a staple of my life when I was at sixth form. So when I was 17, 18, 19, playing in these funk bands, it was kind of this way of crossing over between jazz and funk for me. Obviously, at the time it was as well, you know. And as you get older and go back and listen to it, and as you understand how Herbie's using synths and the different sounds in it, it's a phenomenal album. I actually prefer the Watermelon Man on that album than on the original. I just really, really like that move to the A flat and everything. And number 7 is an album that's got me in trouble before. That's Giant Steps. I still hold on to my thesis that Giant Steps itself as a track does not have a great melody. Coltrane never or very rarely performed it, but as an album, wow. And when you consider that Coltrane was also doing Kind of Blue at the same time, what a guy. And if you also, as Winton says in the film about Coltrane, again, which I put up here, look at what Coltrane was doing 13 years before, on 1946, in those famous Hawaii recordings when he's in the Navy, and how he's playing in 1959. Wow. Just incredible, just insane. And Giant Steps, the track is phenomenal, but also, I mean, two other absolute, I mean, they're all amazing tracks for me on that album, but Naima, yeah, you know. Number 6 is Dave Brubeck's Time Out. It's such a fantastic album, and you know, I went back and listened to the whole album the other day, and I was gobsmacked at just how melodic and how good it is, just how much you can go away singing melodies from this album. And you can see why it was so popular at the time and why it still maintains its popularity. It's really quite accessible music. It's not sort of in your face, you know. If you've got something like Giant Steps, which really requires you to listen, or Shape of Jazz to Come even, which really does demand a lot of the listener, something like Time Out, you can sit on in the background and but musically it's phenomenal. Number 5 is another one from 1959. It's Mingus R. Better Get Hitting Your Soul. It's just, oh, I love it to bits, and we opened the 1959 show on that, and it's no coincidence that so many great albums were released in that year. It just seems to be this point in jazz history where we just get to this apex thing, and then everything changes after it. Number 4 was a Louis Armstrong album, Louis Armstrong on the Hot 5, one of the compilation kind of things that came out. But actually, I want to put number 4, I want to use Bird with Strings, because it's that album that brought Charlie Parker to so many more people. And I always remember when I was sort of like bemoaning Kenny G and a few others to Branford, and Branford saying to me, do you know what, Dan? No one has ever said I've stopped listening to John Coltrane and Ornette Coleman or Sonny Rollins, and now all I listen to is Kenny G. But plenty of people have said I started off listening to Kenny G, and then I ended up listening to Coltrane, and that opened a door for me. And that really, yeah, you know, I'm not going to get into the Kenny G debate on here, no way. But it was definitely an interesting point, and actually something I've taken on board. And not to say Kenny G, oh gosh, I can see the controversy there, the way I live. Bird is on a different planet from Kenny G, let's get that straight. But plenty of people, you know, Bird was accused at the time of selling out by the beboppers, of going out and making these strings records, and so I think he's not selling out. I mean, the phenomenal musicality on those albums. They're great. Go and listen to them. You know, listen to that entrance of Just Friends. If you really want to be a top alto player, transcribe that opening to Just Friends on that album, because it's phenomenal. It's absolutely brilliant. Number 3 just has to be the most famous 3 notes in jazz. And given that I sort of dedicated 3 years of my life to writing a thesis on a Love Supreme and exploring Coltrane's theology and loads of stuff, you might be surprised that it's actually only at number 3. I can't explain why I put it at number 3, to be honest. It probably should be at number 1, that would get me in focus. But I guess because the other 2 are actually, in a way, more important to me in terms of, and I think actually need to be listened to more. This is great. You need to understand what's going on, and it's something that I have listened to several times daily throughout my life. Now it tends to be more a weekly thing, and every time I come back to it, there's something else on it. And at times I've played it a lot, other times I felt like I'm not allowed to play it, but you've got to enjoy it. feels so good just to even get half an hour of practicing, and I can urge all of you to do that. You know, we've all got time to get half an hour's worth of practicing. Remember, if you go back, watch the vlogs where I was trying to do the days of consecutive practice, I've got to admit, over lockdown, it's been really difficult to do, but it's great to be able to get back onto practicing again. So the final 2 albums, well, there's only really 2 that it could be, and these 2, but which order am I going to put them in? Which one is, for me, number 2 in the 10 albums you should listen to? It's this one. This is the best-selling jazz album of all time, Miles Davis's Kind of Blue. You've all listened to this, I know. If you haven't, stop this video right now, go and listen to it. But also, there's loads and loads of versions. You know, listen to some of the live versions of particularly So What and All Blues. The variety that Miles brings into it when he played it live, I should say, it's just fantastic. I mean, what more can you say? It is a true masterpiece of jazz. In fact, forget that, not just jazz, it's a true mastery of any form of music. This is just a phenomenal piece. But why is it not number 1? Well, because for me personally, this was Coltrane's favourite ever recording that he did himself. It is phenomenal. The tracks on it are, for me, this is really good to listen to. It's great to play. Really, really great music to play. This has got challenging music to play, and for me that's where that happiness sits. It's wonderful music, but a challenge as a musician to play it as well. So for me, number 1 is Blue Train. I think if you're going to play the saxophone, particularly play the tenor saxophone, you have to have listened to this album. And why do I have them in vinyl? Well, I spoke about this a while ago in a vlog. I went to vinyl because I realised I wasn't listening to albums anymore, and I hope, if nothing else, this vlog inspires you to go back and listen to albums. I realised the irony of having put a playlist together myself, but the playlist has all the tracks from the album on there, but, you know, go away and listen to those. So, you know, at number 10, it was The Shape of Jazz to Come, an album that even 61 years after it was released is still causing controversy. I'm going to probably lose track now, but number 9 was the Monk album, Monk's Dream. Any Monk album could go in there, but I chose that one just because I did. Number 8, Headhunters by Herbie Hancock. There's a lot of great funk crossover stuff. He could even have gone for some of his 80s stuff, but for me, that for me has had such an impact on the way I've made music. Number 7 was Giant Steps, if I remember rightly. It was, I got it right. Number 6, Time Out. Number 5 was Mingus Art. Oh, number 4 was Bird with Strings, changed from the Louis Armstrong, which is on the Patreon playlist. Number 3 was A Love Supreme. Maybe you're surprised I didn't put that at number 1, but there are reasons, as you heard there. Number 2 is Kind of Blue. Number 1 is Coltrane's Blue Train. Please do contribute below. Your 10 might be different from mine, and you might unearth some real gems that I want to listen to, as well as everybody else within the community. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with you later this week with another vlog. It's been great to see you again. Apologies that the vlogs are not as frequent as they used to be. Don't forget, a like and subscribe would do really, really lots and lots of good. So thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.